He did. And look, a lot of people, Rob is a controversial guy. Less so now.
For no good reason. Let's
less
say
so
that.
now.
No, because I was young.
You were young and outspoken. You like to go out and pick the fights.
I don't drink. I don't do drugs. Why am I controversial? Come on.
Stanley Star on the Walk of Fame.
Somebody should kick his ass, honestly. Stan!
Why?
I'm not a Stan fan. Sorry, Stan.
Why can you not be a Stan fan?
Because I was really good friends with the Kirby's.
I understand.
And
You still be a fan.
you know what? Just stand up when you're, and I said, I'm going to give him one chance. If you're getting your star on the Walk of Fame, say thank you to everybody who helped get you there. Did he forget how to say Jack Kirby? And Steve Ditko? And all the guys that drew his stories and made those awesome? And here's the thing, I'm an artist. So,
Okay, so maybe you have an issue based on that.
you can, like Bob Harris, almost I will always give Bob Harris all the credit in the world. He picked a young, energetic, hyperactive kid and said, you can recreate this book for us. Not a lot of guys would have done that. He had faith in me. When honestly, at DC, at the time in 1989, my arm was behind my back, and they're like, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. We hate the way you draw Hawk and Dove. And I'm like, what's up? And again, you understand, Hawk and Dove, I was the last guy they picked. I know 4 artists they went to before me that turned them down. And again, I'm like, awesome! Because I begged for that job. I begged for Hawk and Dove because I read the treatment, and I thought the Kiesel's treatment of Hawk and Dove was fantastic, and I begged, but I'd stand in line while every other artist turned them down. It's kind of like what you went through on Challengers Alone.
Sure.
I would not have gotten my chance unless 5 other artists had said, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. So then Marvel said, hey, come in here. So I give Bob, I give Bob credit. And Stan, he's a nice guy. I'm a mouthy dude. Okay, so you're right. You got me. That's why. I'm mouthy.
So there you go. So now you understand.
I get it.
Okay, but as in the same kind of way that you have your affection for Bob Harris,
Yes.
people often ask me why I have my affection for you. And that affection comes from the fact that I was doing well. Cable and X-Force were hot books. They were top 10 books. And I was working with 2 terrific artists, Ian Churchill and Steve Scross on cable, and then over and Adam Polina was carrying my weight in over on X-Force, and we were having a great time, but it wasn't sitting at the table with Jim and Rob, and Rob, as I saw it, sort of picked me out of obscurity and said, "Come on, you can come sit with the cool kids at the lunch table where you don't get."
But that's not how we saw ourselves. That's how you saw us. We didn't.
No, it's absolutely.
We were just having a good time.
You guys were the Beatles, and everybody else was just making music, so that part was cool. But then the part that was super cool was that when you decided to go and form Awesome, you came to me and asked whether or not I wanted to be a publisher, and who was going to make me publisher of anything? And so it was an opportunity to learn from Rob, who had been a publisher, how to make comics. And when I say make comics, I mean from concept all the way through the printing process, all the way through actually getting them into the stores and dealing with the retailers. He taught me all that stuff. So any of the stuff that I've been able to use at Marvel or at DC was because of what Rob had taught me. And so, that's part of the reason why I will always take a bullet for you.
And look, I'll say the same thing. Jeph was, sometimes, somebody appears in your life and you need them at that time. And case in point, like when Image and I were going through our nasty divorce, and every day it was like, Rob this. I'm like, you loved me a month ago, like my partners, but now we're at odds. And Jeph said, say nothing, do not respond to these people. And man, did I want to go out there and start a war of words. And I had only known Jeph a brief time, and he's like, Rob, say nothing, and wish them well. You guys had a lot of success together. And you know what? That was the maturity I didn't have in my life, but I knew it was the right decision. I knew it was the right advice, and I accepted it. And that's why when Jeph and I did Awesome, and it was so fantastic, and the Alan Moore stories that we could tell you would burn your ears. And we have been good boys.
We have been very good boys.
For a long time. And that dude was batshit crazy forever. You know when Britney finally shaved her head and everyone's like, she is crazy. It's like now everyone goes, like when Alan Moore kind of went crazy like a couple years ago and says all this crazy stuff now, it's like, we knew that guy. That's the guy we know. That's the crazy dude that said he couldn't get back to us because he was in a magic room talking to Gandhi and Jesus. Oh, okay.
That's not exactly what he said, but what he said was actually even better than that. So and that's a story for another day.
Because I was like, well, I'm in a magic room with Jeph Loeb and Eric Stevenson, and we want to know what the script is. Because you want your check like this afternoon. Where's my chicks? They're there. We just gave you 30 grand. Give us our freaking script. My neighbor's writing it. What? His name's Stephen Moore. Uh-oh. And he's my teacher. Stephen Moore, I don't hear of him. He's a better writer than I am. Did he write Watchmen? Like, I'm like, come on. The dude, he has sleight of hand. He is a magician. He is a magician. That's all I'm saying. But so when Jeph came to Austin,
I will not confirm or deny any of this.
yes, he will. Tonight, I'm taping dinner, because you'll hear it then. Because we're going to tell Kirkman all the crazy Alan Moore stories. But the thing is, Jeph, what people don't know about him, okay, you all remember Commando, awesome. Teen Wolf, my kids saw Teen, and again, you know when you've got something, my little Chase, 8 years old, Luke, 10 years old, and Olivia, 7 years old, are like, this is the greatest movie ever! Can we watch it again? And then they made the mistake of saying, Dad, can we see the sequel? And I'm like, we're still trying to burn that out of their heads. But again, Jeph, you know, I remember I was working construction before I got into comics, and all of us that night were like, we gotta go see Arnold's new movie! We gotta see Commando! And so that night, we all went and saw Commando. The next day on the construction site, all we were doing was quoting all the Arnold stuff. And so then I'm like, Jeph Loeb wrote Commando and Teen Wolf. Those were seminal events. So what you don't know is, obviously started out as the hotshot young screenwriter, and then also was a professor at USC and taught students. And I felt like I was a student, and I learned as much, if not more, from Jeph over our time, our 18 months at Awesome Comics. And it really helped me. And I have given that advice to, I cannot tell you how many people. And there are things when Jeph is doing things behind the scenes, I know what he's doing because I was inside that head for 18 months. And it is seriously a dangerous and brilliant place to be.